Well, hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome to my live. Today we are making cloud bread loaf. This is my new and improved version of cloud bread. And back in 2016, I shared the loaf, which no one was doing then. They were making them as buns. And the original recipe, if you have ever tried cloud bread, it's not good. It's really zero carb, I think. It's just made with eggs and cream cheese and salt, and then you just take a bite of it, and I guess it's like biting into a cloud, light and airy, but the cream cheese gets stuck to the roof of your mouth. So when I started keto, I had tried that recipe and I said, no way. I don't care how low in carbs it is, it's not good. And I can't make a sandwich with it. So in 2016, I turned the cloud bread recipe, that is not my original recipe, but I adapted it. I turned it into a loaf so it was easier to slice. And I also swapped out that cream cheese for sour cream. I also added whey protein powder. So it's been around since 2016. If you've seen the loaf, it was first published on my blog, sugarfreemom.com. Welcome everyone who is new. I am Brenda, the owner of sugarfreemom.com and the recipe developer and photographer and all that. And I share family-friendly, keto-friendly, sugar-free recipes for the whole family, whether they're keto or not. So this recipe is in my cookbook, Naturally Keto. It is also on my website for free. So if you are watching this live now, you can just press the center of your phone or open this. If you're on Facebook Watch, just click the center of the video and it will open up to a description which will have the link above, or just Google sugar-free mom cloud bread loaf and this will pop right up for you. So this is one I made a little while ago. It just came out of the oven. Yes, it does spill out. That's why a baking tray is recommended. And it's fluffy, but the whole thing is I decided that I really wanted to make it new and improved because a lot of people said the cloud bread loaf is so eggy. It's so eggy. Yes, it has eggs in it, but I decided to make it new and improved. So what I've done is the new updated updates are there for you on the website. And I'm going to show you how to make it today because many people say they have so much trouble with it. So certainly leave any questions that you have and I can answer those when I've got this in the oven. But once this cools, we can slice it. Hopefully it'll be cool by the time we finish making the one that's going to go in the oven today. So all my links and all the products that I use, all the sweeteners, all the protein powders, the kitchen gadgets, everything is at my Amazon shop, and that is also linked above. So I'm going to put this to the side so you can see it right over here on the stove. We've got the oven preheating at 300 degrees Fahrenheit, and we are going to start by separating our eggs. Our egg whites are going to go into my stand mixer. You can use a regular bowl and use an electric mixer. And then your yolks are going to go in a separate bowl because this is the bowl we're going to use to add the rest of the ingredients and then fold in the egg white. So first, I want to show you my eggs. So I have chickens and ducks. These are duck eggs. They are gigantic, way too big to use for this recipe. You want average size, normal size eggs. This is a good one. But this one of my chickens laid a very, very tiny one. And one of my chickens laid a very big one. So today I have 2 very big chicken eggs and 2 very tiny and 1 average. So I'm going to use 5, only 5. The recipe calls for 6. Just note that if you have chickens and extremely large eggs, that you'll want to cut back on the eggs because these are just ginormous. So we are going to crack in egg whites into my stand mixer. Be sure not to get any yolks in here because that will ruin the lift of the egg whites for sure. We want to really make stiff peaks with our egg whites today. And the only way to do that is letting them whip for a really long time. And I think that's the biggest issue when people have not had success with the cloud bread recipe or my loaf, is because you're not letting the eggs whip to stiff peaks. And this is going to go for about 15 minutes. It has to be so that you could actually, I'll show you, we'll flip the bowl over and none of the egg whites will spill out. That's how you know. And it usually takes 15 minutes on high speed on my mixer. And I just let the mixer do the work because that way we can do other things while we're waiting. We can get the other ingredients together. The other thing is, on the recipe for the loaf pan, I suggest using a smaller loaf, an 8x4, so that way you get nice height to the cloud bread. You could use a 9x5, that's fine too. It just won't be as high as using the 8x4, but with the 8x4, like I showed you, it does spill over a little bit. So you just gotta make sure to use a baking pan under the loaf pan. So we have just separated 6 egg yolks and whites, and we are going to add cream of tartar, which will help to keep our egg whites nice and stiff. Let me clean up my hands. And our yolks are in a separate bowl, and we're going to add the other ingredients. I can show you some swaps that you can make with this recipe. So the cloud bread loaf makes 12 slices and 1 total carb for 1 slice. 0 net carbs because it has 1 gram of fiber. So if you're counting net, 0 net carbs per slice. If you're counting total carbs, 1 gram per slice at 73 calories and 4 grams of fat and 8 grams of protein. So to me, it's worth it. It's worth it and enjoyable to actually have a sandwich that tastes like bread and not spongy egginess. All right, so let me move these eggs. And now I'm going to add cream of tartar. We're going to add a ½ teaspoon. Again, if you're just joining me, we are making my cloud bread loaf, the new and improved adapted version that I have just recently updated with new photos, and I'll be getting a video on YouTube my son just got for me. I'm going to do that tonight. Get that video up there on YouTube for you. It's not as hard as you think. You can make it. You want this on high. We're going to count the time. I have 4:08. So 15 minutes, and then stiff peaks will form. In the meantime, we're going to take care of our yolks. So to our yolks, you are going to add sour cream. I have full fat sour cream. You can use low fat if you want. I do not use low fat anything. I enjoy fat. And we are going to use a scale. Again, these products are in my Amazon store. We're going to turn the scale on, and we are going to use 4 ounces. The original recipe back in 2016 was 6 ounces. I reduced it to 4 ounces. If you have a dairy allergy, you can swap this with coconut cream. 4 ounces. Hold on, not quite. 4 ounces, okay. If you don't have sour cream, you could also swap this with sour cream with full fat Greek yogurt. All right, we're gonna keep the scale on, but we're gonna switch it to grams now. And we are gonna add protein powder. I use whey protein powder, unflavored. If you want to make this cloud bread loaf for French toast or make it like a sweet bread, use vanilla whey protein powder. The reason I use J-Raw brand, very limited ingredients, pure ingredients, no junky, crappy ingredients. So that's why I use it. So we are going to use 1 cup, but on my website I have the grams because I don't know. I'm just going to use the 1 cup. I can't remember offhand how many grams that we need, but it's about 2.5 scoops, and I put the grams on my website. So if somebody wants to put that link below, but it's 1 cup and it works every time. The other thing is, if you can't have whey, you could swap whey with egg white protein powder that J. Rob also has. So it's about 2.5 scoops. Not quite there yet. We need 1 cup total. The original recipe that I created back in 2016 only used a half a cup of whey. A little bit more helps for the lift of the bread. As you can see over there, it's on the stove. All right, to this, we don't need our scale anymore. We're all done with that. We are adding a half a teaspoon of baking powder. And we are going to add, did I forget it? No, that's it. Did I forget it? I think salt. I forgot salt. You just need a quarter teaspoon. If you are making a nice sandwich bread and you want Italian style bread, I would add savory ingredients like onion powder and garlic powder. Those are totally optional. If you want to make this like French toast, like I said, I would use vanilla protein powder, and I would also add some sweetener. My natural sweetener guide and conversion chart is on my website, sugarfreemom.com. You can just look it up, and that gives you all the sweeteners that I use and how to swap them in the right amounts. All right, that's it. We are going to start whisking these things together. You're gonna have to work hard because this gets clumpy, and you definitely have to start with the whisk and then we'll end with the spoon. To move it, to get all the clumps out, you have to use a little muscle. And this is definitely not whipped to stiff peaks yet, as you can see here in the picture. So if any of you, how many of you have made the original cloud bread and hated it, right? Stuck to the roof of your mouth, it was disgusting, you thought you did something wrong? No, that's the recipe. If you are looking for something lower fat without the yolks, you could try Maria Emmerich's protein sparing bread, which just uses egg white protein powder and egg whites. Hers is completely zero fat. My slice has 4 grams of fat in one slice, and I am not doing a protein sparing modified fast, so the fat is not something I'm worried about. But if you want to reduce your fat, you can try her recipe, but mine is not low fat like hers is. But each of our breads are 1 total gram of carbs. So you can't get better than that for a sandwich. And if you're following me on Facebook and you've seen the sandwiches, today I posted my black sandwich, bacon, lettuce, avocado, tomato in the bread. Once it's toasted, it's fantastic. The other day, I did a pastrami sandwich. The other day I didn't share it, but I did a tuna melt. Oh my gosh, so good. For just 2 slices, 2 grams of carbs. It's amazing. So this, we just have to make sure we get the clumps out. And we're gonna raise this up. There we go, a little higher. Now I'm gonna check the bread on the stove. So you can see, it definitely does sink in a little bit, but not as much as it used to sink in when I had written the recipe in 2016. So it does, it does leak on the sides, not a big deal. It's still warm, so we're not gonna be able to slice it. You have to wait till it's completely cool to slice this bread. All right, so we make sure there's no clumps, and then we're gonna switch from the whisk to a spatula rubber so that we can fold in the egg whites in about 3 batches. That's another mistake I think a lot of people make, is not getting their egg whites to stiff peaks, as well as not incorporating the egg whites into batches and very gently, because then it deflates them all. All right, so this looks pretty good. We are gonna heavily butter our loaf pan. If you don't heavily butter it, it's gonna be stuck and you're not gonna be able to remove your loaf. All right, so move this to the side. We have our loaf pan. This one is a 9x5, so I'm gonna use that one today because my 8x4 is already being used with the loaf pan on the stove, with the loaf on the stove. Make sure to put a baking pan under it. Butter, here we go. This is my little butter dish. Keeps your butter nice and soft. I use a paper towel. And I just scoop some out. I start on the bottom, and we're just gonna spread this all over so that it's very generously buttered. Sides, very good on the sides, on the bottom. You could also sub coconut oil if you don't want to use butter or you can't use butter. So this is very adaptable. Almost there. All right, our dish is buttered. Our egg whites are almost stiff. All right, there we go. Very generously buttered. If you're joining me just now, I am Brenda, sugarfreemom.com, and I am sharing my cloud bread loaf today, the new and improved version that has been just updated to make for a better slice of bread for one total carb. You can't beat it. If you have any questions, just let me know. We're almost there, and I will show you this again. It's awesome for Texas toast. I have that recipe on my blog for butter French toast. Just toast it up for BLTs like I did today. Tuna melts, it's fantastic. I love it. All right, the next thing we are gonna do, we buttered our dish. We have all the ingredients. You can find this on my website, sugarfreemom.com. It's a free recipe. It's also in my cookbook, Naturally Keto, which is on Amazon. The links are all above. Just tap your phone, center of the video. It'll open up the description, or Google Sugar Free Mom Cloud Bread Loaf, or on Amazon, Naturally Keto. This recipe is in there. So I'm gonna check the egg whites to show you. I checked my watch, it was 4:08, and then it is only 9 minutes, so I don't think they're stiff yet. I don't think they're stiff yet. I usually have them go 10 to 15. Well, they look pretty stiff, so they're flipping over and they're not falling out. All right, so we're gonna go with it. Usually I go 15 minutes, but I think it'll still work. They look pretty stiff. So you're gonna take the yolks with the protein powder, the baking powder, a little bit of salt, and the sour cream. And we're gonna do this in 3 batches. This is a big deal. This is part of the reason people fail with this cloud bread. So three parts. We're going to do 2 scoops. And in order to fold it in properly, I go to the very bottom and I flip over, I spoon over the yolk mixture to the center of the bowl, and I turn my bowl. I continue to start at the bottom. I scoop from the bottom. I turn the bowl, and I get this pudding-like mixture into the egg whites as best I can, until most of it is absorbed, but we don't want to do too much because we have 2 more batches of egg whites to do. Otherwise, we're going to be deflating it. So this is good enough, and we're going to add another bit of the egg whites. That looks pretty good. We have 1 more batch to do. Again, scoop. It's okay. It's a squeaky door. My son is leaving. I told my husband these doors are very squeaky every time I'm on the live. Have a great night. Love you. Bye-bye. He's 21. I'm a 21-year-old. Yes, and he's leaving. He's going out. Those doors are so squeaky in the house. My husband's got to fix that. All right, so scooping from the bottom, making sure that you're getting that yellow yolky, bright yellow yolkiness to be more incorporated into the egg whites without deflating them. 1 more batch now. This is the rest of it. If you can't flip your egg whites over, they are not stiff, keep going. That is part of the reason that people have trouble with this loaf. All right, this is the last of it. I probably should have used a bigger bowl. I thought it was big enough. I was wrong. All right, so now we're just gonna try to get all the egg whites mixed in thoroughly. I spin and I spoon. Spoon and spin, people, spoon and spin. That's how you do it. And you try to get to the center to make sure the egg whites are incorporated. We're almost there. Almost there. All right, this looks pretty good. It's still fluffy and wonderful. So we're gonna pour it into our loaf pan. That's my grandmother's clock. It always chimes every time. Even though it's after 4, it's way off, but it works. All right, almost there. I don't want to lose any of it. This is good stuff. You are gonna love this. My 21-year-old loved the pastrami sandwich, and today my husband and him and I made the BLTs with the avocado. So good. So as you can see though, this is the 9x5, so it doesn't fill out. It doesn't go high above like the 8x4 did, which is fine, it's gonna grow. I just like the height from the 8x4 loaf pan better, but this will still work. If that's all you have, it'll still work. The next step is to bake it for 50 minutes. And the other thing I want you to do, which I have to add as an update, I want you after 15 minutes to shut the oven off and leave it in there for 10 minutes without opening the door. This will help it not deflate right in the center. So now we're just gonna add this to the oven. I have made this cloud bread at 45 minutes, not enough, soggy in the center. Don't do it. 50 minutes will work, I promise you. You can definitely cook it longer, but I think shutting the oven off at the 50-minute mark without opening the door and leaving it in for 10 minutes will not burn it. That's what I did with this one. It will not burn it. It will be cooked in the center and it's still warm. I really don't want to break into it, but I do want to show you that the sides look pretty good because I buttered it so well. And maybe on this side I might have to use a knife right there. Let's see. Oh! I did it. I did it before it was cool. Da-da-da! There it is, cloud bread loaf. I will slice a piece for you so you can see. I need a knife. Nope, not a good knife. Use a knife with a serrated edge. That's the best thing. All right, let me move this. Can you see? This makes 12 really good slices for 1 total carb. If you want less carbs, cut it thinner. Double it up, but 12 is a good size. So what I do to make the 12 is I cut the middle. I look down the middle and say, okay, this needs to be 6 and this needs to be 6. But I'm just gonna cut the end because it's still warm and I don't wanna ruin it in the center. I'm gonna cut one side and show it to you. Ah, great. Maybe I'll show, the end's kind of not as big. Beautiful. Oh, burned in the center. All right, that looks good. All right. Pretty good, right? Not bad. Looks like a slice of bread. Once you toast it, it is fabulous. You put some butter on there. I would highly suggest toasting it because it's a little, it's still warm right now for me, but I prefer it toasted for a sandwich. It's so, so good. And the French toast is fantastic. So all the tips that I've shared in this video are also on my website for this update, the new and improved changes to this recipe that I just made for you, because I needed to adapt the 2016 recipe because people were saying it's too eggy. This is not eggy at all. My very picky husband and 21-year-old son love it, and it's one total carb. So I highly suggest trying it. I hope that you do, and you come back to my website, sugarfreemom.com, go to this recipe, cloud bread loaf, and tell me how it worked for you. And if you make any substitutions, like changing out the whey protein powder for egg white protein powder or something else, or changing out the sour cream to something else, please let me know. I would love to hear from you and share with me your changes to my recipe. And I want to show you, tomorrow night we're having friends come over for dinner. So I made a dessert today because I didn't want to deal with it tomorrow. It can be in the fridge for 3 days. It is my raspberry Claufouti. Have you seen that recipe? It's made with raspberries, but today I made it with strawberries instead. And it's cooled now. All I have to do is wait for our friends to come over. I'm gonna add some beautiful whipped cream with my cool whipped cream canister that I've showed you guys before in these lives, and we are gonna have a delicious dessert. So you can change it out to any berries. I think next week on our live, I'll make this for you. It's so easy in the blender, you won't believe it. So if you have any questions, leave them. I'll come back and answer those. I hope you have a great weekend, and I hope that you try my cloud bread loaf, new and improved, updated, not eggy, delicious, and I hope you love it. All right, I'll see you on the next live. Bye-bye.